Welcome back to the Battles In Behind the Desk weekly show that we'll be doing. Had a first run of it last week. Fortunate enough to be joined by Derek Ray, and would encourage you to go back and take a look at that episode. No guest this week. Had a couple moving pieces that we weren't able to get lined up, but we'll have somebody back next week. Maybe have two guests to give people as good of an idea and to try to have us open a discussion on this subject matter as we can and give you guys as good of a look as what we do and how we go about doing it. So my name is Ingram Smith, fortunate enough to represent the Battles In a couple different ways, and fortunate enough to be able to do this show where we get a chance to talk about focuses of ours, things that we try to accomplish, and also to field questions from listeners and just general YouTube viewers. So we got a lot of feedback last week about international student athletes and contracts. And next week, like I said, we might have two guests, and one of them may well be kind of a specialist in the subject matter of international NIL. It is really interesting. It does impact, just about every sport across the board, and seen some interesting evolution there. As far as contracts, so we announced last week that the Battles In, very happy to be able to continue to work with Conrad Hussey. Can also add to that list this week Blake Nicholson. Conrad and Blake are both really super talented defenders, and also just kids that I've seen an incredible amount of growth in the year that they've been on campus. Like the guy that sat in front of Max and myself a year ago, and the Blake Nicholson that you run into the hallway are so dynamically different kids. It's just interesting and awesome to see kids mature, both as football players and people. And Conrad and Blake are both examples of kids that were not early enrollees, and we offer almost exclusively one-year contracts. So it makes sense that their contract would run up somewhere along this period of time in the year. We'll continue to have a series of announcements throughout this show as we have new additions and new partnerships. Those most of the time will be pretty timely, but occasionally we will come to an agreement with a kid a couple months ago, and for whatever reason it hadn't all been announced. Want to move to the subject matter of golf. It was just fantastic to watch Luke Clanton play in the manner that he did, tied for 41st overall. Luke is just a super dynamic golfer, has an incredible backstory. Interesting to hear him talk about the way that he kind of learned and fell in love with golf. But Luke had a heartbreaking match against Auburn in the NCAA finals, and to see him respond in the manner that he did was great. And from a Battles In perspective, Luke Clanton played with the number one golfer in the world with a Battles In logo on his right arm. Luke Clanton played, I think, in the third round. Well, I think he played every round with a Battles In logo, but had an incredible amount of visibility. And, obviously you can look at the wall or whatever else, and we're always going to be football focused, but the opportunity to work with sports like golf has been an incredible learning experience for all of us, and really awesome to see Luke turn into a national star. So finished second in the individual championships, like in the individual NCAA championship, like I mentioned a month ago, and then to see him respond in the manner that he did at a golf course that was absolutely unforgiving was really, really inspiring and awesome to see a kid continue to grow and mature, and nothing but the absolute sky's the limit for Luke Clanton. Finally, just want to give a big congratulations to everybody associated with the baseball program and all that they did, and the energy that has been poured into that program over the last year, for them to have the turnaround that they did, and to play really throughout the entirety of the season at the manner that they did was just incredibly impressive. And game one was something that a lot of Florida State fans will remember for a long time, but just hats off to Link Jarrett and everybody associated with Florida State baseball, because it was an absolutely incredible season. And unfortunately that it came to an end last night, but one of the more enjoyable rides that this program's had. And this program has been, as spoiled as anybody when it comes to baseball tradition, and just out there searching for that one last thing. So, Kev, do we have any kind of questions from the chat, or where are we at that point? Cool. Yes, a couple of announcements and questions about merchandise in particular. Nathaniel Hornblower, a dynamic YouTube name as always, and appreciate your involvement. No, the t-shirts that we have are fantastic. I have a pure black t-shirt just with the Battles End logo on it that it's become one of my favorites. And yeah, you can support the Battles End at any point in time by going to the store, the online store that we have, and placing an order. So with that, obviously, like I said, football is always going to be what drives the bus and what we talk about, and we look forward to continuing our interview show that we do with Max Moody and the team throughout the season. I think we'll move that around a little bit next week, but we'll continue to do that. I think that's as good of player-driven content that can be out there, and it gives you guys a much better idea as to who these kids are, what motivates them, what makes them, unique football players, but also just you get a much better idea as to the kid that's there when he's not wearing a helmet and shoulder pads. So football is in summer workouts. It's in, what are mainly like conditioning and player-led practices. You are starting to get, some of the freshmen work their way into position groups, just as far as how they appear in drills and other things like that. So that's always exciting, and can't wait to see what it looks like when Florida State football returns in a formal manner. But for now, it's just kind of player-led things that are going out. Mainly, I think most of it is over on the intramural fields, but not a whole lot to report football-wise when it comes to that. We'll point out that the clock continues to turn and the calendar continues to turn, and we are but only 2 months from the first game in Ireland. TBE next week, I believe the end of next week, we'll have a rollout of merchandise that's both just related to Ireland and more seasonable in when it can be worn. I look forward to seeing that. I know that's something that Max and the team have worked on for a little bit. Oh, okay. I didn't realize we had an actual specific question on that as well. Good timing there. Yeah. Look, we certainly only have so many employees, and we have to do the most with what we can and what we think we can absolutely execute on. But I'm really proud of the store and the merchandise that we have, the autograph offerings. That's something that we do almost entirely in-house. And it gives us a chance to provide you guys with high quality stuff, but also, allow us to pour back into our operation as well. Okay. Daniel, I'm not going to be able to get to that. I hear a lot of references about a social media interaction that we won't get into as well. Let's see here. We've got an exciting announcement when it comes to a partnership with a corporate partnership program that we've talked to or that we referenced in show number 1. We'll have more on that for you next week, or actually maybe the week after the 4th of July as I look at the calendar here. But we'll have a lot to talk with you about that. Also want to point out the existing partnerships that we have with our partners at Social House, the high quality small batch vodka partner that we have secured a partnership with. We look forward to doing a series of events with them. If you were around for the spring game, we had an event on the 7th floor of the Hotel Indigo that night of the spring game. That I think was just one of the more cooler events. That 7th floor space on the Indigo is as cool and unique a space as there is in Tallahassee, and we look forward to doing fun things with our friends at Social House. And then we also have our proud tequila partnership that we have with Cambrio. Look, that's something that we have been working on for quite a while, and we had the first couple of bottles appear at the LSU game and then started to roll them out to market. We do have links on the website now that you can go and both directly buy the vodka and the tequila offerings. And we're excited about the ways that we can continue to bring you alternate means to support the Battles In and Florida State's NIL efforts. Nathaniel asked about how frequently I'm in Tallahassee. Right now, a decent amount. It's a little bit of a busy season, but we have 3 full-time employees here that work all the time and bring you a lot of the things that we do and make good on a lot of the orders that I just referenced a second ago. And then either Max or myself is in Tallahassee kind of 1 week on, 1 week off throughout the off season. If you really wanted to know the schedule all that well. Greg McLaren asks, who are some of the guys that are different off the field than they seem on? Great question, Greg, and appreciate your support of our show. I mean, honestly, to an extent, you can almost say everybody. There's very few guys that, as you get to know them and as you get to know more about their story, that you just are like, oh, that just checks every box that I thought that guy would be. I mean, all of again, also all of them, because like you've got to go to a place that's not where you want to live the other 2 hours of the day to play college football. So I wouldn't, Josh Farmer is one of the people that I've most enjoyed getting to know. And Josh Farmer is honestly, legitimately a very, very funny guy. But I don't know that either myself or Josh Farmer would really enjoy spending time with like the person who has to play in the middle of a defensive line and throw 300-pound men around. So, they're all different. But one of my favorite experiences about this opportunity to work with the Battles In has been just the quality and character of kid that make up that roster and fill that locker room. And again, it's a reason why I love the player interview content that we do, because it does give you a chance to get a better idea as to the person that puts on the helmet on Saturdays. Zyler asked, how often are NIL agreements negotiated? I mean, there is no perfect answer for that, Zyler, but I'll just tell you, like for us, it's once a year. We have 1-year contracts with kids, and occasionally you can really, honestly, that's about it. That's about it for us. We have a formula. The formula's worked. We tend to stick to the formula. Okay, so R. Wilmer asked, are there any collectible bottles of the vodka or the tequila? Yes, we have talked with the tequila guys about doing some special bottles, but those are probably another maturation cycle away. But that is something that we've talked about. There's also there's a guy somewhat locally in the bourbon space that does these really cool bottles that may be something that we look at working with in the future at some point in time. So for the next show, like I said, we're going to have one expert on international NIL, and that'll be like a 3 to 4 minute segment. But we also have kind of an open card for anybody else. So whether it's in the comments of a live show or in the comments section afterwards, if there's somebody that you think would be particularly interesting for us to sit down and talk with, let me know. I'm open to any kind of dialogue within reason. And if it's helpful as far as bringing light to a subject matter that is at times convoluted, we'll give it a good shot. So there's a continual questions in the chat about like the broader ecosystem of NIL at Florida State. We talked about this last show as well. Florida State's been really fortunate to have two collectives that have done a really good job, and ultimately there will probably be one either broader umbrella or whatever else, but it's not something that has to happen immediately or that there's a definitive timetable for. That's just something that all parties are very confident about, and confident that in the meantime, the sports that we're all fortunate enough to partner with, we're going to do everything in the world to support them. So that's just where we are, and it is one collective effort, certainly. Not trying to make a pun there. But, Florida State has been fortunate to have two collectives that have done all they can to support the sports that they're associated with, and have been very fortunate to have people willing to support and back those collectives to do the work that they've done. Did Keon Coleman ever get back to you about that pecan waffle, or is he still holding out? Yeah, no, I haven't had a chance to talk with Keon about the pecan waffle. I'm sure that is disappointing for Keon, but I will do all I can to bring that conversation back up. Look, the content that we did with Keon was some of the most enjoyable stuff that I've been a part of with the Battle's End. And I think Max actually did the first interview with Keon, and yeah, the reviews about how good of a player he was, and the fact that he was, pretty dominant in a secondary that, both does and will have a bunch of NFL players in it, was one thing. And it became real clear, like, hey, you got a real good football player here, but just like, you can't talk to Keon for more than 3 minutes and not realize that, one, he's hilarious, and two, he is super bright and intelligent, and three, very, very confident. The first show that we ever did, or interview that we ever did, he was just deadpan with Max for like a minute and a half about what he tries to do to make himself a better wide receiver. And then he's like, yeah, and then sometimes the ball gets thrown up. I mean, people say it's 50-50. It ain't no, I call it more like 80-20. But then I go up and do everything I can to catch it. And to just hear a kid kind of seamlessly phase in that 50-50 balls aren't 50-50 balls with me. They're more like 80-20 is both hilarious and gives you an idea as to the level of athlete